Coach Joe Pendry. Dad, you want to know where all he coached? Let's try West Virginia, Kansas State, Pittsburgh, Michigan State, Philadelphia Stars, Philadelphia Maulers, Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs, Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers, Buffalo Bills, Washington Redskins, Houston Texans, and Alabama. How's that for a resume, Dad?
Well, he's a great guy, and Joe, want to thank you for being on. And behind the scenes, there's always somebody that runs the show, and it's been Joe Pendry for a number of years. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Good morning, coaches, Wimp and Barry. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Joe, before we get into the juicy stuff, I need your help on something. My son, Blake, who absolutely adores you, but he's not over there to see you as much. He needs some shoes. You used to hook up. He's trying to take mine now because he doesn't see you as much. Can I let him swing by there today, get a pair of shoes, and get him out of my closet?
I think I might have a pair laying around somewhere. He's a great kid. You got to be proud of him.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Coach. Go ahead, Dad.
Joe, I know you're going to go with the new football league in Birmingham. We'll talk about that before it's over. But behind the scenes at Alabama, this is not a juicy question. Did you not look and maybe give them suggestions or ideas or coach when you changed things that you did offensively from year to year?
Well, I think what Nick kind of wanted me to do, Wimp, was just keep an eye on things. You know, I've had the good fortune down through the years to coach every offensive position and was a coordinator for a long time and a head coach. And that's kind of what I did. I kind of watch things. I'd make some suggestions here and there, and Nick and I had a great relationship, and I could go to him at any time, or he would come to me, and I just wanted to help. I loved Alabama, and Nick and I are great friends, and I wanted to see it continue. So anything that I could do to help Wimp, I was going to do.
Well, you had several different offense coordinators, and I'm not going. I don't interested in getting into personalities at all, but you had several different people, the offensive coordinators that wanted to do it their way, or maybe wanted to change things. Did that affect anything as far as what you wanted them to do?
No, we basically it was all about the players. We had a lot of staff turnover in the years and guys getting better jobs and leaving. And when we brought a new offensive coach in, we wanted some of his ideas and things that he did, but the basic structure of the program was put in, and the terminology and the majority of it was going to stay the same, so the players didn't have to learn a lot. And then most of the adjustments were based on personnel. If you have a running quarterback, you got to do things he can do. If you're strong at wide receiver, you got to do things they can do. And as the offensive coordinators changed, the success didn't change because we were going to do what the players could do and not make them change all the time.
Boy, is that good going there, Barry?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. We're talking to Coach Joe Pendry. Coach, we kind of know maybe what the position coaches do. They're out there in front. But Coach Saban has a lot of behind-the-scenes guys, one that was no better than you, but he's got a lot of analysts in there. Just maybe talk about what those guys do and maybe the process that Nick Saban puts them in to help their football team be so successful.
Well, Nick wants everybody to contribute, and the analyst will end up studying other teams or studying certain aspects of the games that other people are doing that maybe we're not doing, or look for anything that might surprise us that we're not ready for down the road. And Nick's always trying to stay ahead. I'm telling you, he is a brilliant guy, and I've known him forever, and he works hard, and he's thorough. So any analyst and anybody who's in the program will have a job and a function. and those guys come in, they contribute, they get to learn then how Nick runs the program. So Alabama benefits from it, and they benefit from it personally. Just look at the guys who've come through now, who are head coaches or coordinators or much better jobs somewhere else.
I wanted to ask you too. These guys that leave, Kirby Smart, now Jeremy Pruitt. Those guys kind of they got to take their own personalities to their programs. But how does Coach handle that with those guys when they leave? Surely they don't talk near as much, obviously, they did when he was working for them. But does that concern Coach about so many of his guys getting out there? I know he wants them to be successful, but they do take his system with him. Not everybody can run it, but does that concern him at all?
Well, I don't think it's a concern, Barry. I think what he's proud of them and the fact that they came up through his program and whether it was Jimbo Fisher at LSU or the guys who have been at Alabama. But I'm going to tell you, Nick always looks at the other team, but his biggest concern is our team.
Yeah.
What does our team do? No matter who leaves, then we still have a team at Alabama. There's still a team there, so the biggest concern has to be getting those guys through recruiting and developing them once you get them.
I don't know if this is different or not. Maybe it's not different, but Enos is the coach from former coach at Arkansas. Is going to coach the quarterbacks. Loxley's going to run the offensive plays. Is that about the same it's always been, or has Coach gone in a little bit of a different direction?
Well, I'd say it's only different because of the fact that you just said Dan Enos will coach the quarterbacks, and Mike Loxley has coached quarterbacks. He's coached receivers. He's run offense, and so it just gave Nick the opportunity to have, when they added the 10th coach this year, to have a position coach just for the quarterbacks. But those two work so closely together that that's the only difference in it.
Good point. Joe, I'm sorry, I couldn't. A lot of the things that you did in the pros, is that not acceptable, but is that things that you want to do? Maybe you wanted to do or did do with Alabama football when you came from the pros.
Well, pro football is developing players. I mean, that's the same thing that we wanted to do. You take a guy, and in college football, I actually got more pleasure out of it because you can see a young 18 or 19-year-old come in, especially coaching the offensive line, which I did there, and in 2 years' time, you can see him develop. That was the part of it that we did. It's not the scheme as much as, because it's never changed, that part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Dance, whether it's 2-point or 3-point, you still better block. You still better know your reads as a quarterback. As a receiver, you better know how to run routes. As a defensive back, you know how to cover, how to backpedal, and all those things. So the development of the fundamentals of the game and college football is the key, as the same as it is in pro football.
Okay, Barry.
We're talking with Coach Joe Pendry. Coach, it seems like Coach Saban, his staff, and everybody under them, they've recruited great players across the country. They're recruiting nationwide right now. But, it seems like to me they do a great job of also looking at the character of these kids. When I see how Jalen Hurts handled the situation last year after the national championship game, his character was unbelievable. When I see Damian Harris speak at SEC Media Days, man, it gives you chill bumps, the type of character that this guy has. And I think it's probably important when you get these five-star guys that come to have been bragged on to have character, to wait their turn because they have to wait. How important is that? And how do they do such a great job of finding out what kind of character these kids have?
Well, Nick does a great job of having his staff do as much research as possible and ask all the questions they can around all the people that influence these kids when they are in high school. It might be a math teacher. It might be the guy who's in charge of the facilities. It might be the custodian. Whoever it might be, Nick is, through the staff, they're going to find out as much as they can about that player. And then when they get him on campus, Nick has done a great job of setting up programs to help kids in all areas, communication skills, socially, educate, all of it. He's set that program, and he's always studying it, always advancing it to help these kids, because it's still, you take what you have when they come in all areas, and then you try to develop that in all areas, on and off the field, and he does a great job of it.
Have you seen him change at all? I do see him kind of change with the times. I think about guys like Bobby Knight. Hey, they were going to do it their way. They weren't changing for anything. But I see Coach now in Bama Cuts. They're doing a lot more on social media. He was willing to go out and hire a guy like Lane Kiffin, who nobody thought he would ever do. Do you see him willing to change year to year to try to win at the highest level and not be stuck to doing it one certain way?
Well, I think that's the brilliance of what Nick has done. Nick is a fun guy. I mean, he's a great guy to be around, and I've known him since the late 60s. So, and people think that he doesn't have that personality to do those things, but that is him, and he's open to whatever it takes to keep the program going within the limits and the regulations. So, and changes on and off the field, he's probably ahead of his time. He's always thinking about those things, Barry, so he's probably ahead of most people in doing it.
Yeah, damn.
Well, Barry asked something similar to this, but I'll ask it in a different way. When I was coaching basketball at Alabama, if I had two good forwards coming back, I had a hard time signing another forward. I couldn't get them because the playing time was going to be there. Coach, and y'all were able to sign people and wait their times, as Barry mentioned a minute ago. And to me, that's I know you've been in a lot of college programs that weren't. I wasn't able to do that much. Occasionally I would get a forward that thought he was better than the two forwards I had, but that's that. And I heard Gene Chizik say the other day, the former coach at Auburn, that when you went into a home, you better be prepared to make good points, because Alabama was going to bury you. And I was really, they didn't say exactly like that, but that's big, isn't it? I mean, that's a big thing what they've been able to do. Barry asked that question a little bit, but I wanted to ask it a little bit differently.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Wimp. And I tell you what, Nick preaches competition and individual competition amongst the team. And then the kids that he goes after that might play a position where we already have a guy that's played a year or two and been a really good player, that's what Nick's going to tell them. It's open competition, and what makes you as good as you can be is competition. If I tell you you're going to come in and you got a starting job right now, well, you're going to hit a satisfaction level. You're going to have to compete every day when you come to Alabama. Now, you look at that, and you look at what you want at the end, this is going to help you get to that goal you want to reach through competition. And players see that now, and Nick preaches it.
Well, before we ask you about what you're fixing to do with the pros, as I said, I'm not going to ask you quarterback questions, so that's not fair. But I do think in light of what you have said, that they're going to work as hard as they possibly can to improve both aspects of all the guys at the skill positions. The 3 or 4 or 5 quarterbacks that you have, their skill position is good in one area and not as good in the other. But it's a known fact that they're going to work very hard for these guys and whoever grabs a hold of the team, as he's talked about yesterday. But the effort to make them better is always there, isn't it?
Oh, that's no doubt about that. And, all those quarterbacks are great young men, and they're going to compete as hard as they can to be as good as they can and to keep winning.
Yeah.
We're talking with Coach Joe Pendry. Coach, talk a little bit about the ability of this year's line. Just talk a little bit about that since you've coached line so much. What is the potential for this year's offensive line?
Well, they've got some experienced guys coming back and who are solid players and know how to play the position, but still have room for improvement in certain areas. And there's going to be competition for those guys coming back, as well as competition for the areas where they don't have a named starter. They've got some good size, got athletic ability. I'm not going to get into specific names or positions, but as a group, I think that this group has a chance to be a really good offensive line.
Coach, you're going to go, I guess, into the Birmingham area, and with the new football league there, can you talk a little bit about, are you going to do that? Is that your plans? Yes,
I'm going to be the general manager of the Alliance of American Football, which is spring league went. And matter of fact, I was in a spring league in the 80s, and when I ran the offense for the Philadelphia Stars and was the head coach of the Pittsburgh Maulers. And it's exciting because it's going to give a lot of players an opportunity to, if they got cut by the NFL, to come to our place and play, get playing time, get experience, get good quality coaching, and get a chance to improve themselves, and maybe they get another shot at the NFL. And if you think about it, the NFL takes 90 players to camp, but they keep 53 and maybe 10 more. Well, the rest of them get cut. The rest of those kids they still want to play. They want an opportunity, so we're going to give them that opportunity. And there are good people involved in it. You know who Bill Bullion is. He's kind of the main key in it. I worked with Bill when I was running the offense of Carolina Panthers. He was general manager. And that's how I kind of got involved in it through him. And I'm excited about it. The city of Birmingham and the mayor and those people are excited about having it. So, and it's going to be professionally run. It won't be a fly-by-night group. And the players will have a chance to improve and try to get to where they want to be.
When will that league start, Coach?
Well, we've already started dealing with players and getting guys committed to play, and we'll get contracts out to them here in the next couple of weeks. And we'll go to training camp in January, and our first game, we're going to play 10 games. And the first game is the week after the Super Bowl. And then we'll play 10, and then we'll have a East Division. There are 4 teams in the East, 4 in the West, East Division, a West Division playoff, and then a championship game. Be over in April.
Well, hey, Coach, from being on the show, Dad thinks he knows everything about football. Maybe you should hire him as one of the assistants up there. He'd be a big draw there in Birmingham.
They get on me all the time.
Wimp and I talked about it, and I've learned a hell of a lot from him.
Thanks, Joe.
A lot about what not to do. Sometimes learning what not to do is part of learning too, isn't it, Coach?
Oh, that's exactly. Find out what you don't know.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks, Joe. I really do appreciate you being on. You've been mighty nice to be on. I hope things go great for you. And I'll see you at a golf tournament sometime before long. Thank you.
I appreciate how good you were to Blake. He brags on you all the time, so thanks for being so good to him.
Well, he's a great kid, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And next spring we get started down there, make sure you come around.